The street is where we create. We call it suburbanpreneurship.
Mixing big company resources with an entrepreneurial spirit.
This is Electric People. Electric People, welcome back. It's actually been a bit of a drought, and we are coming back strong with Daron Archibald Wilson.
Let's go.
Let's go, dude. Of the notorious Bakersfield Contenders. What's up, D-Will?
What's up, man? How are you?
What's your middle name, actually?
Paul.
It's not as good as Archibald.
No, Archibald's way
Maybe
more.
he has a dog named Archibald. Did you know that?
No!
Yes,
pretty
Archibald,
crazy.
Baxter Blue, Wilson.
It is all connected. So
3 legs.
we got 3 legs, 3 names. We got Sterling Hills on the mic along with Dave Madsen today.
What's up?
What's up?
Good.
What's up? And we are sitting around D. Will's very well accoutramented kitchen table. This is like a Scottish tartan,
It absolutely is.
right?
The Stewart clan. No, just kidding. No, but yeah.
So we actually had started talking before, and we said, hey, stop the conversation. Let's get mics on everybody. So thanks for having us in your home. It has been an eventful week for you.
Yeah.
Week?
Absolutely, yeah.
How old's your
Crazy.
baby?
Oh, shoot. She was born March 5th.
It's okay. Listen, if you just had a baby, it's okay if you're not entirely sure of when their birthday is.
Oh, I was...
Because they kind of have...
Had to think about it.
Yeah, they've kind of only had one. Like some of my
Yeah.
kids, I don't really
Yeah.
always remember because it's like if I just meet you, I'm not going to remember your birthday. It
Yeah.
takes a couple years.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
But yeah, how's your week been?
It's been wild.
Wild, right?
Relieving. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Relief.
Yeah.
But yeah, anxiety.
Yeah.
It's been good, though. Been blessed. It's a
D.
long
Will's
road.
a new father of a beautiful young baby girl.
Yeah, Poppy Heather Wilson. Shout out, little one.
First shout out.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be shouting out everybody.
in existence. Oh, that's amazing. I'd love to get into the story of her and
For sure.
how your life has changed. But I think everybody that knows D. Will is a massive fan. You're somebody that manages to make great relationships with everybody you meet, add value in super unique ways. And one of the things in preparation for this conversation that I kept thinking about is our value of make your mark. You tell me, what does make your mark mean? Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, it's always been, I was raised right. But no, like my dad. You know, to me, my dad's my superhero. I always tell people my dad's like Billy Graham, John Wayne, and Vince Lombardi rolled into one.
Hold on, let me wrap my head around that.
Oh yeah, he's a stud. So, but he was pretty. He loved us hard, but he goes, son, I don't care what you do in your life, but you do it exceptionally well. Like he coached us how to rake leaves.
There you
Like,
go.
son, you don't move the rake until after 3 strokes. Like, so it's like he didn't care what we did. But you're going to represent the name, you're going to represent the family, and you're just going to just do it well. He's like, you've been gifted with talents, and it doesn't matter. Just kick ass.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And so
I love that.
that's instilled in all of us. They're from a family of 9. So it's very competitive, and it's just, yeah.
Family of 9, so
Yeah.
8 siblings?
Yeah, I have 4 older brothers.
I thought I knew your whole family.
No.
I don't even know the half of it.
You don't even know who we are. No, well, I have 4 older brothers. I'm the baby boy. And then I have 2 older sisters and 2 little sisters. So I'm number 7 of 9.
Wow.
So lucky number 7.
And then you've had, so almost half the crews worked for us at
Absolutely.
one point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say, you're probably tired of me saying this, but the Wilsons need to have a reality TV show. Like it would be the best. You know, I've only seen your dad in the way you photograph him.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
and you do a good job. You know that.
Yeah.
You know, you make the man look legendary. He's always wearing some hat that I'm pretty sure you gave him because it's just too perfect.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Camo. It's just plastered.
Yeah. Bigfoot and Crocs. And I'm like, you had to have dressed him. But,
Yeah.
you guys are all like, you know, whenever I've seen you and your brothers together, you love each other. You're not scared of a fight amongst each other, right? But also all creative, all artistic in your own way, all produce things in your own way. And I think it would be the greatest reality show ever.
Yeah. Maybe one day. But yeah, it's wild. When you get us all together, we have a family thread. I don't know. A lot of large families, there's some animosity or whatever, but we're constantly talking to each other. Our parents instilled just, hey, like you can fight, but at the end of the day, you're gonna say you're sorry, you love you. You know, this is like a pack of wolves.
Well, if ever I earn it, I would maybe like a couple hours on that text thread just to see what it's like.
It's pretty
Add him
good.
in there. So
Yeah.
you can even notice.
Yeah, just slide him right in.
Maybe if I could grow my hair out like that, maybe I'd go
Oh,
undetected for.
So this is a COVID project. I probably need to cut it, but I haven't cut it since the beginning of COVID.
Dude, my favorite thing, I told Stacy about this, I think I told you, but when I saw D. Will at our last leadership meeting, he was rocking the Willie Nelson braids, and I was like, dude, you look great, and he goes, D. Willie Nelson. And I was like, yeah, I mean, now you can't cut it, you know? It's just too perfect.
Oh my gosh.
You should know that's something I aspire to. Like literally, like I've never made it past the terrible length of hair.
Yeah.
But someday I want to have Willie Nelson
Yeah.
braids. Like no one's cooler than Willie.
No, he's the greatest.
The greatest,
Yeah,
right?
man. It's a statue of him in Austin, Texas. Shout out Austin.
He's got to be pushing like 90.
Oh yeah, he's old, man.
Stay
He's
with
like the last legend. Like he was like went on tour with Elvis and stuff. Like he's been around a very long time. Like Johnny Cash, all of them started up.
Have you ever
Same
been
time.
to the Bluebird Music Festival that they do in Utah?
I haven't.
Do you know about it?
Nope, never heard of it.
You would love it. So put this on your bucket list.
Will do.
Have any of you guys been to the Bluebird?
No.
Bluebird Cafe? Okay, so the Bluebird Cafe is, it's like this small cafe in Nashville. And it's really small, but all the legends have played there. Like Garth Brooks picked up, when he was in Nashville, like trying to get his career off the ground. Mm-hmm. He was at the Bluebird, and it's where songwriters go to like debut their songs and like test their material kind of. So Garth is like trying to get like his career started, and he's sitting there and he hears someone, I don't remember who wrote it, but he hears him play the dance, like the dance, like the Garth Brooks song,
Song.
And he went up to him after and he said he felt this like urgency to claim the rights to that song. And he's like, if I don't grab that song, like somebody is going to get it. And it's like, it's calling to me. So he like rushes up there and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you about that song. And he's like, I've had it for a couple years. Like no one's picked it up. So Garth Brooks picked it up and it's The Dance. It's like one of the biggest songs ever, right?
Looking back.
Oh.
Ooh.
All the memories, the dance we shared, beneath the stars above.
Oh, it's so good,
For
dude.
a moment, all the world was right.
I like thought I knew
How
the words.
could I have known?
Hey, hidden talents.
Dude,
I don't know
if
that I
you'd
knew.
ever say goodbye,
Keep it going.
and I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all
Began.
That's it.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
No,
you, dude.
that's my
Thank you.
greatest song. That's my favorite song. It's sad, a little hidden note. One of my best friends passed away at 21, and they played that at his funeral.
Oh,
I couldn't
man.
listen to it for about 15 years,
Oh.
but then I kind of get over that. But anyway, love that song.
yeah.
And if you haven't seen Kelly Clarkson sing it 2 years ago when they gave Garth the Freedom Medal of Arts, it's the best rendition you've
So it's
ever
like,
heard.
pause this right now.
Dude, it's unbelievable. He was
Listen.
crying, standing up, just bawling. Garth was just
Wow.
bawling. Anyway, you look it up on YouTube. It's probably it's powerful.
So the Bluebird Cafe now does like a tour. So what it does is it'll come to like Sundance, Utah, and you've been to Sundance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like in the summertime, it's like the most beautiful place, like green hills, and they got this amphitheater there, and they take the stage. It's like 4 guys with guitars, and that's it. And like those old like Nashville songwriters, they're like storytellers, they're rabble rousers. They get on the mic and they're like fun to like hear. And so I went to this thing once, and this guy I'd never seen before starts talking, and he's like, I was a young like songwriter, and I was trying to make it in Nashville. And, I finally got a call from this guy. He's like, hey, if you can make it down to the studio, why don't you come down right now? So he goes into the studio, and he had this song that he wanted somebody to sing, but he's looking for the right group. He opens the door. It's Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and who's the other Highwayman?
Chris Christopherson.
Yeah. And so it's the Highwayman sitting in there, and he wrote like whatever the song, the Highwayman song. What's like the main like, yeah. And that was his experience, as he literally wrote for them. So all that to say, Willie Nelson, man.
There you go.
There you go.
D. Willie Nelson.
D. Willie Nelson. But you got to make it to the Bluebird
No,
Festival.
absolutely.
Because they sit up there, and then these guys that are unpolished play the songs that they wrote that got picked up by some of the most
For
famous.
sure.
And it's actually super awesome. So
So if you hear these little nails scratching against the glass,
that's the dog
That's
that's
the
like
dogs.
trying to become a
So we
part
have
of the
3
action.
rescue
We're the only
dogs.
ones that can hear it.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, tell that story though. We gotta
So
get there.
All right,
tell
we'll
us
get there.
about you're no stranger. Everybody that does this job faces adversity in some way,
For sure.
right? Like it's not super easy for anybody. Everybody has a story, and I'm really interested in yours. I actually didn't know it started as far back as DC when you first got married. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell us like
A little
how?
timeline?
Yeah,
How I
give us a
got here.
timeline of how you got here and bring us along.
Yeah,
for
so
that.
it's I moved to Washington, D.C. I left San Antonio, moved out there summer of 2011. I met my wife.
Why'd you move to D.C.?
I was going to run a small attic installation sales team. So I have a little bit of background in door-to-door with alarms.
Okay.
And some college buddies were starting this installation business, going door-to-door up in Maryland and D.C., Virginia.
Like a rebate.
Yeah, absolutely.
For making your home more energy efficient.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And so anyway, I was trying to get back into the church, kind of left that for about 10 years. And then met my wife on a riverboat cruise, young single adult, going over to look at the Potomac. So it was a young single adult. It was like 3 steaks, on the Potomac River, going to look at the Washington Monument. So met her. Then we got married, Washington, D.C. Temple, January 19th, 2013. And then we left D.C. I went to Galveston, Texas, moved in with my sister for a month.
So did the installation thing not work
Yeah,
out,
the rebates were going away. I didn't know if I was going to continue that. And then a former manager for the installation company, Jay Mason.
Shout out
Jay Mason.
Where are you now?
Yeah, he started in Bakersfield. He got me here. That's a funny story. I'll tell you that one. No, he left the installation business, and he went back to Platinum. They went belly up, and then he was like, "Hey, dude, you still doing the rebates?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hey, dude, you remember Vivint?" I'm like, "Yeah, Vivint out of Utah." He goes, "Yeah, they just got bought out." What was the first transaction? What was that one?
So we did a
Blackstone. He's like, "Yeah, they got bought out. They're about to get into the solar industry." He's like, "Dude, they're looking for people to have door-to-door experience. You can get into management, so you can quit, get off the doors."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, it sounds enticing, whatever." And so we got married, and then went to Texas. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Newly wedded wife. And so I called Jay Mason. I'm like, "Dude, how's it been?" Because he'd been selling there he was selling here for about a month in Bakersfield. He's like, "No, dude, we're crushing it, this and that." I'm like, "Cool." I was like, "Dude, I'm coming out." So I bought 2 weeks. So I left my newly wedded wife at my sister's house, her in-laws, she didn't know him, from Adam, on an island in Texas. And I show up, dude, that's how poor I was. I'm still poor. But I mean...
Newsflash, you're not poor.
No, I'm not poor.
No, you're not poor. You're actually...
I'm doing well. Life is good. But my brother-in-law at the time worked for Hertz, equipment rental, but he could get the Hertz car rental discounts. Dude, I didn't have enough money on my debit card. They weren't even going to give me the card. I was like, "Dude, my brother-in-law works for you guys. I need the debit card. I'm here for a job.
All in a favor.
Please, let me." So they're like, "Sir, we have to hold it. You don't have enough on your card."
For the $100.
So whatever, I sold them. And so I'm driving down the Grapevine or whatever. I'm like, "Dude, why is there mountains in California? Why is there snow?" Then I'm coming down the Grapevine. I'm like, "Hey, Jay, I'm about to be entering the valley." He's like, "Oh, yeah, bro, forgot to tell you. I'm back in Utah. I'm having health complications." I was like, "I'll text you the manager's number." So my only contact's not
and you're
here.
there. You're in market.
Yes, I'm cruising down the Grapevine into Bakersfield in February, middle of February 2013, freezing, and he's not there. And I called Jay Growers. Oh, you're Daron? Or yeah. Meet us at Golden Valley Apartments. You can stay there. So I stayed middle of February. 2 weeks, that's where I met Sterling. I met Jason Baugh, Ryan Tall, a lot of the OGs.
He shows up just like a clean cut.
Dude, clean cut,
smiley,
probably 30 pounds lighter. Part in the hair, wearing Dockers, a little pleats.
For your job interview.
Oh, dude, I look like a dork.
Had the fanny pack on.
Oh, yeah, fanny was rocking. And it was brutal. I was like, I think we met at Costco, and I'm like, "Dude, if I don't get a sell, I'm done." 2 weeks, I couldn't sell the damn thing here. This is weird. I couldn't get people to get the bill, the whole transition. Oh, we shred it. I'm like, "Well, how do I,
But you'd sold alarms, you'd sold insulation, and it took you 2 weeks to figure out.
Yeah, I sold one deal. I told Sturb, "Hey, dude, if I don't sell something today, I'm out." And I sold it, and then I'm like, "All right, I think I can do it." A lot of prayer, a lot of meditation. I'm like, "Look, I don't have another option. I'm broke. Had to borrow money from my dad. Had to pay for the wedding." And so I'm like, "All right, dude, I'm rolling the dice." When you always taught us about you got to dig deep in the cookie jar, right? The whole previous achievements. So I had to dig deep there. So I've done some things pretty well, but this was just money, all that stuff. Getting married, a new place. It was just super stressful, but it's turned out well. But I was like, "Hey, honey, California's it. We're doing it." So I signed, actually just had my 11-year anniversary. I signed February 18th, 2013. We moved here April 1st of 2013.
Wow.
Ty's birthday.
That's my birthday.
April Fool's Day, man.
Yeah.
And so, moved into 1-bedroom apartments, 700 square feet, Gosford, Cambridge Village apartments. Made my wife sleep on an air mattress for a year. Tells you that's true love. But yeah, when I was here for 2 weeks, I didn't have enough money to eat. Dude, this was 2013. I had to call my sister, like, hey, what's the place where you had to
Western Union?
She Western Union me
like
money.
It's 1954?
Yeah, dude, she Western Union me money. I was on the east side of Bakersfield. I'm like, she's, I think, $20. I was eating a Del Taco on, like, Ming. Like, it was...
Wow.
Like, so when I see new reps coming in, like, I get it. I think a lot of times these new reps come in, they look at us like these shiny golden gooses, and, they don't have a worry in the world, or they don't understand my economic background or what I've been going through. But like D. Will gets it. I know what you're going through, and I think everybody goes through stuff, and that's life. You have to go through it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's part of the game. Yeah. Just like I tell reps coming in, our job is to hear no. If you're in door-to-door straight commission, our job is to hear no. You're going to retire off of hearing that word no. That's a word you hear more than any other word, and so it's just a mind shift, and just know that struggle is part of the game, right? Everyone knows that the basketball, it's turnovers. The team that has the least amount of turnover win. It's like clock management in football or whatever. This is the game we play in our industry, and it's just,
I think I was sorry. It was funny. We talked to Jeff Gallivan, who's been your partner forever.
Yeah, I love Gally.
And similar story in coming out and getting started. And I think it's really interesting because a lot of people say like, oh, like you guys all hear this, like, oh, I wish I would have started a long time ago. I wish I would have gotten into it when you got into it. And I look at that and I'm like, it's funny that a lot of our like long time, like deep root leaders, it wasn't a sure thing, right? Like we didn't really know if this industry was going to fully work. And I think a lot of us got into it and didn't understand like the I don't want to say the risk. Well, maybe, the risk, like the test that we had to put this industry through to even see if it was a viable option, right? And the comp was low, and there was no guarantees, and there was, long timelines, and you had to figure out ops yourself. I mean, all of us have run permits ourselves. All of us have picked up permits. All of us have lobbied cities to please give us a permit, right? Like we've rented ladders for the teams that didn't have, like we've done all those things, right? And one of the things I was talking to Jeff about is, you don't ever want to go through that struggle because it's hard, right? Like you don't want to call your sister and say, hey, can you send me some cash to eat some fast food? But one thing that it does do, and one thing that's like requisite for all leaders, is you go through these things not just for you. Like it's made you a good man and it's made you a strong, resilient sales leader. But after, like you said, D. Will gets it. Once you've gone through it, you can help other people. Like absolutely. That's the reason that so many of our challenges exist. Because it does help you. But think of once you understand something personally and deeply, like think of how many hundreds and hundreds of reps and thousands of accounts you've been able to influence because you can connect with them in that way, right? It's like, you know how to like nurture somebody through the process, take care of them. Yeah. And it's part of the reason that I think it's good to stay learning new things because that stays really fresh with you.
For sure.
You know what I mean? If you learn it once and then never challenge yourself again, then it's really hard to like go back to that place.
Yeah.
I mean?
Like, I don't know. Just had a thought of like, I don't know, played a little bit of small college ball. Dad played D1 football, but I don't know, been around sports my whole life. But it's like you look at like Jason Kidd or you look at the All-Star players back in their day, now they're coaches.
Did Jason Kidd play for the Milwaukee Bucks?
Did he? I don't know.
Am I thinking?
I don't think so.
But
am I thinking Jason Williams? Is there Jason Williams?
Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd actually played for the University of
something Dallas.
Was it Cal? No.
Cal.
Is it Cal? It's a Cal.
Jason Kidd.
Yes. No, but it just No, it just made me think of like the what do they call it, the coach, the players coach.
Yeah.
Or is it the other way?
Yeah, the players coach.
I just feel like you can, the culture you can build. It's guys that have been there. I know what you're going through. Like so when I say I have a mantra of us all DMs. I think me, Sterling, and Jeff are probably the longest tenured DMs probably in company.
And
history.
You're the longest tenured partnership for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so I started again February 2013. I think I was promoted to DM in 2015.
2015.
When did we move into the building? I don't know what month, but
yeah, that was the second building was 2015.
Yeah,
I'd say. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like just hang on. Like when I talk to the reps, I'm like, look, guys, just hang on because it's there's always light at the end of the tunnel, but you're gonna go through some
Well, even
Stuff.
Yeah.
even more than that, what's really cool about D-Will's story is like your first year, you mentioned this, having like done 30 installs in 8 months?
Yeah.
The second year, what was really unique about that time, this is in 2014, everyone's really talking about LTIP. They're talking
Sure.
about this opportunity to earn equity in the business. And D-Will like got it. Like he saw LTIP and he made the decision that he was going to change. It was funny, like he hadn't done it, but you could tell talking to him that he believed he could hit 100 installs in a year. That's what it took at that time to
earn
qualify
equity.
for equity.
Yeah.
And so here's a guy that had done 30 in 8 months, but had made the decision that he was going to hit 100 no matter what. And like you mentioned the cookie jar, right? Like
Yeah.
D-Will all of a sudden had this like confidence about him where you knew like, all right, he's like sounds different right now. And he was at the office. I remember going to the office one day and he was like the first one there going through his stuff, dialed, like he was on the whiteboard writing down the list of the accounts.
Dude, I was printing off like quotes of the greatest salesman in the world. Like I was like putting it in like sheet covers. I'm like, dude, this is it. This is my opportunity. It's like this is what I've been waiting for. This
I will
has to
persist
happen.
until I
Yes,
succeed. All this
yes,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
making robes for
That was
Jesus.
really the first time though that you had a breakout.
Yeah.
In your first quarter, you ended up doing 33 in one quarter.
Yeah.
And I remember now you started talking about that story about like, yeah, I'm gonna hit LTIP.
Sure.
I've got some proof that I'm good at this job, and from there just snowballed, right? And so
Sure.
ended up doing what 106.
Yep.
106 installs, qualified for LTIP.
Sure.
And that was really the springboard to like your influence on the team, and
Yeah.
ultimately got promoted a year after.
Well, it was
that.
you and Jeff. I mean, you gave me the opportunity, but you guys just, hey, continue to just be a leader. You don't have to be like the title. You can just help reps, be a leader, be that example. And so, I mean, that's what I would tell all the new people getting into door-to-door or whatever. Just already be the guy, right?
100%.
Just be it. You don't have to ask for anything. Just go above and beyond. I think I learned that from my dad. I was blessed. A lot of people don't come from a good background like I was. I was blessed with unbelievable parents. Had a great childhood. Have a beautiful wife. Like I don't know. I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life, but I've also made some really good ones. But yeah, I think what you give is what you receive, and I wholeheartedly believe that. If you're a good person, good things happen to you.
I agree with that. What do you? So now that I remember actually your promotion,
Yeah.
and like how celebrated that was, and it's because you earned it. I mean, think about that. Like you kind of said, okay, you did 106 in a year, but those were difficult times to do 106 installs. I mean, what a lot of people may not remember is during that time, I mean, what was going on in the background is we hadn't built, I mean, we were an installing machine and a selling machine. We hadn't built up really our service arm of the business, right? And so we didn't really know, nor did we have staffing for service. So that was also 2015. It was also the year that we started breaking out of that like 10-year flood, and it rained like crazy, right? And so you're installing these. They're PTOing very slowly because we're figuring out that part. People's roofs start leaking. There's the tarp stories. There's the news. There's all that stuff.
Duct tape.
The duct tape.
copper.
There's
Yeah,
like
a lot of- yeah.
all of that all of that adversity, right?
tons.
That you get through it, and so you earned it, dude. Like
Dude, I remember crawling through an attic because the electrician wouldn't do the grounding. I'm crawling through the attic,
like, I got you.
pulling the grounding wire.
in a lightning storm.
Hi. On the stucco, they wouldn't do the MPU, the main panel upgrade, because of the hole in the wall. I was like, asked my brother in Texas, dude, how do you like stucco? I went and bought chicken wire. I stuccoed this thing. I painted it.
Scrappy.
Like, we got super duper scrappy, you know? And it's like you hit. Sometimes, guys, in life, you have to shovel shit. My brother told me that. It's like sometimes you got to get dirty. You got to get scrappy. You're not as good as what the work entails or has to be done.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times reps are like, I don't do that. That's
Yeah.
no, dude. You have to go through it. You have to swallow that crow and just buck up. Pull your britches up every now and then. That's what it took for us back in the day with Vivint Solar, man. It was gangbusters.
When you own your own business, right? Your job is to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
And to like make it happen for the customer, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think there was a lot of that in the early days, but like knowing that that's what was happening, it makes that 106 so much more.
Do you know my first promotion was you actually called me and said that we want you to be a 30% and slow
Oh yeah.
with Cuzzy. What's his
Mike Cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that.
I turned you down.
Yeah.
But
It worked out for you.
No, it worked out.
I forgot about that.
No,
that was when we
my
were
first
opening a
promotion
new
to-
office
yes.
every 2 weeks.
Yes.
And sometimes we were opening offices and we didn't yet have the leader.
Yep.
That's what, like, in our history, that was happening.
Yeah.
How different would your life be if you would have gone to San
My
Luis?
wife would probably be a lot happier.
You would have figured it out.
She goes,
figured
but
it out,
it's so pretty there. But I don't know. I looked at it as like I had a good thing going here. I really liked the dynamic with the leaders, with Jeff and Stir. I liked the market. I liked the people. There, it would have been more of a pay decrease and a stress increase of trying to build, and then smaller systems out there. So, but anyway, like you said, it worked out.
It works out.
It works out.
And I'm going to ask you a question I already know the answer to, but you have the gold pen still.
Absolutely.
The L-tip pen.
Of course.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
L-tip.
Have it in
Those
the
were
case.
that was one of the first like real cultural pieces that I saw like a group do, where you created a symbol that meant something and like a team really went above and beyond. So maybe talk about that piece.
Yeah, it was super cool. So when someone would qualify for L-tip, we had like a custom gold pen.
Like every salesman needs a good pen.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, like you're closing deals right back.
That'd be
then,
like
we
a
were
gold-
literally-
it was a like
Mont Blanc.
Oh, Mont Blanc.
Yeah, you're closing deals on paper, right? So
Yeah.
you're signing deals. So we had these gold pens, and I actually think this was Jeff's idea. I think Jeff's idea, he came up with the golden pen idea. It was actually really fun, but it was a thing. And at that time, I think was there 8 of us that qualified, 8 or 9 of us
absolutely.
that qualified for L-tip. So it became a thing. And everyone's like, "Have you got your pen yet?" It's almost like the green jacket or whatever at the
Yeah.
Masters. It's like everyone wanted the pen. It was actually a thing.
Well, if you think of the early years of the Contenders, that's kind of what this first logo you guys created is build up, build out. Like how many like district managers came from here? Like a lot.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know.
original
continue to come
group-
And then
here.
I mean,
Yeah.
and, you know, the L-tip and how many hit it, and I don't
Yeah,
know. It's just-
2014, that year. Well, that was the year we went public, and so I think it was October. That's when it was like, "Hey, this is real.
Yeah.
Like this L-tip thing is not just something we're talking about. It actually now we're a publicly traded company.
thing.
You got to finish strong and
Yeah.
get to it." In that very last quarter, I think we had 4 or 5 people hit the mark, and it was very real at that time. Like I remember we were like celebrating, like we just won the lottery, right? Like
Yeah.
it was a huge deal, especially in 2014.
While going through about 8 operation managers.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember one of probably the best days of my career, and I'm sure you can say the same thing, but I remember when we got on that call and we went over the report of everybody's L-tip. And like,
Yes.
we were excited about it because we knew it existed, but nobody ever understood really the value associated with it and stuff. And we got that report, and I remember like, we had the list of all of our leaders and the amounts they qualified for. I had several conversations where they didn't even know they were eligible. Like they didn't even know they were
Well, it
even
had
in
been
the
so
pot.
long, people forgot.
Gotcha.
Like they're like,
Yeah.
it'd been like 6-7 years. People were like, "Yeah, it's not real."
Yeah.
It was hundreds of thousands of dollars for a lot of guys who
You're like,
didn't know that they were even
I
included in
signed
it.
Hey, his
Like,
call
I-
was one of the best.
I remember I remember
Yours
getting
was
the
one of the
list
best.
and going like straight to D. Will's name, and I'm like, that is the person that probably deserves it the most.
Oh, yeah, that's kind words. No, yeah, it's Sterling and your brother, Jordan. I don't know, I had to pull over, wept like a little baby. No, I was blown away. I was like, is that real? You guys, because Ster is, dude, I mean, he's like my mentor, my brother, but I want to like beat his ass a lot. I want to fight him, but I
No,
love
we
him.
have.
And he's
We fought a couple
Oh,
of
we
times.
fought,
Yeah.
and this dude,
Well, no, you got to tell the story about the office when we were wrestling.
Oh, dude, you're better because someone like peeks their head and says, "Everything all right?" We hear like a lot of human beings going.
No, we started just
Let him work it
arguing.
out. Let him work
We
it
started
out.
just arguing, and then like things escalated, and we were kind of being playful, but eventually,
Yeah.
like we were full on wrestling on the ground, and it's like two.
It
grown
sounded
men,
like The Office.
and we're like hitting walls, and someone walks by, and it was like they were concerned. You know, they're like, "Hey, is everything okay here?"
We're like, "Get back in your office."
Leave us
Don't
alone.
worry about it.
No, it was a sweet moment. I had to pull over. Kind of, I was really emotional because I don't know. I don't come from money. Never thought it was gonna happen, and it was just I don't know. It was like everything that you thought was gonna happen, it eventually happened. And yeah, I had to call my parents, tell them the news. It was, I don't know. It was one of the most pivotal moments in my career. It was super neat.
Part of the
to have
reason
my best friend give me that call.
I think for you, like D. Will is one of the most loyal people in the company, and I think in that moment, like you kind of hanging on, right, and like staying with the company that long, was like validating. I think, and so it was really cool to experience that moment together because I think you knew, like, hey, like all this talk about like, you know, continuity and staying put and staying focused, like it paid off. Like
Yeah.
that was like your.
Because this is the first time in like my career where I've stayed put like this long.
Yeah.
I bounced around, lived, done a lot of entrepreneurship stuff with older brothers, done this, done that, different cities. But this is like where I've like, dug my heels in and just, all right, I believe in the leadership. I believe in solar. I believe in what it's doing on a bigger picture. I love who I work with. I love the market. And it's just, why leave? It's just, and my parents, I love my parents to death. They're on 18 acres in Austin. And my dad was in sales for 45 years, the chemical sales industry in Houston. He's like, son, don't worry about me and your mom. Because he's a sales guy. He's like, son, he goes, if that roof oil derrick is still flowing and gushing, son, you don't leave. Don't be dumb. Like, don't be dumb. You need to stay put and you milk that thing for all it's worth. And just, my dad he doesn't talk very much, but when he does, he has these one-liners, these one subtle, just like, that makes sense. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dude, it's fun to celebrate your success because, like, you talk about loyalty, and obviously when you think of D. Willie, you think about loyalty. But also today, somebody threw up a picture of Brad Warner. He visited Riverside today, and it was like, hey, is there anybody more universally liked than Brad Warner? And I'm like, no, it's Brad Warner. It's Brad Warner and it's D. Will.
Yeah.
Those are the two most universally liked people on the planet. So it's cool, like, to celebrate your success. The L-Tip story is fun, but even like what you've done since then, you think about loyalty, you think about just likability. Like, everyone's just a fan of D. Will, which is so fun.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what Ty said about like what's your unique contribution? Like, have you made your mark? Like, D. Will has made a mark on not just this team, but the entire
Everyone.
Everyone,
Yeah.
the entire street. Really cool to see like his creativity side of not look at all the branding that he's done, like all the swag and everything. He's been an absolute like engineer of our culture in Bakersfield. So it's really cool to see like that like artistic side of D. Will and just the value and the mark that you've made. It's cool. Like, people are hitting me up all the time. Hey, how do we get that swag? How do we get this gear?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, it's the brand.
Yeah.
It's when you think about the street and formerly Tribe and just kind of who we are, the brand here is the Contenders. Like, everybody that's they're just trying to duplicate what you did here. And you were the engineer of that, which is so freaking cool.
Well, it was a team effort. I mean, it was the co-founding father, Jeff. We talked about it earlier. You and Sterling and Jeff kind of came up with the brand, the team, who we are when we started to build it. And for me, there's no artist. I mean, all art is what do you call it? It's imitation. Most art is not original.
Sure.
So it's just, I think I have a good eye. Yeah. But yeah, I can make stuff look cool. So I mean, you know what I mean. So it's like you guys created the logo and what it means, but dude, I'll put it everywhere, man. But it's been fun. It's cool because there's 9 kids in the family. We all can draw. We all can paint. My parents can draw. There's not one of us that cannot draw. It's crazy. Like in church,
I want to hang out with you
how we like was my dad would look at us and we're drawing on the programs. That was the competition. It was like who could draw the better person in front of us or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that I can use that skill and that love and that, I think it's more, what do you call it, genetic, and use it and use it in door to door and use it here locally. I think it's a blessing for me. I think it's super cool.
I think it's cool too. One thing I want to challenge you on is it's not making things look cool. I know you know that, but It's one thing I want to stress to like people listening, because a lot of times people say, oh yeah, like, hey, can you help me make a cool design, or can I get your eyes on this? And one thing that I think you guys have done so well, and the reason that it works, is people see they see the sexy stuff. They see the designs, all of the things everywhere, and it looks really fun. Mm-hmm. The reason it works so well is because you guys, before there was ever any kind of design or any kind of like written things, there was clear values, clear shared values, right? Like, we started that conversation. I just had this conversation with Jeff, but we started that conversation with, what do you believe? Right? And you guys all had this underlying element of like, oh, we're scrappy. Oh, we figure it out. Oh, we may not be the most polished, but if you fight us, we're going to be a handful. And so you guys kind of had this shared thing. And then you valued scrappiness, you valued contribution, you valued loyalty, you valued hard work. So the reason it works so well is because you're the embodiment collectively of the values. And so when you talk about it, it hits so hard, right? Like, because it's something you believe in your core. If you do it the opposite way, where it's like, hey, I got this idea where I want to make this thing, then you're constantly like trying to like push it and make it a thing, but it doesn't take. You know, it's like an organ transplant. Like sometimes that doesn't work, right? But with a culture transplant, generally if you start with, hey, this is what we believe, and here's a symbol that represents what we believe.
Absolutely.
And if you believe the same thing, we should work together. So weird. All the contenders are freaking scrappy and they all are really grateful. But then when you get in to see, you guys believe in gratitude, and every Monday you dedicate a significant portion of your meeting to people's gratitude stories. So again, think, Steve Jobs always said a lot of people think design is how something looks, but it's how something works, not looks. I look at like culture, and culture is how we do things around here. Now you have symbols that enhance it and that are really fun, but at the core, the pilot light that stays lit is your guys' shared beliefs and the fact that you've had a very strong partnership for such a long time, and everybody contributes. You don't have dead weight in your partnership. So like the fact that you keep building leaders and keep moving them out, and you keep building leaders and keep moving them out, and you guys have kept these core values. Everybody that comes in and becomes a contender has like this like life-changing chapter of life. That's how I see it.
Well, it's
Just to give you more credit than you give yourself, probably.
That's
you
why
know?
he's where he's at.
What?
He's super good, guys.
Talk to me about like culture and what that means to you, because obviously, like the way, and I don't know how some of the people that are listening to this don't know you personally. So
Sure.
maybe I'll ask Dave and Sterling what role you feel like D. Will plays in the street. What's his role?
D. Will's got a unique role. D. Will's the fun guy. Like everyone, like you just mentioned this, everyone wants to be around D. Will. Right?
Ew.
They do, man.
Woot.
He does, yeah. He adds flavor to everything, right? Like we have this segment in our meetings. We call it the Belt Champs of the Week, and we'll recognize the combine rep with the featherweight or the combine belt, and then we have the featherweight, welterweight, and heavyweight.
Dave and I kept laughing today that the combine belt's so little.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
just a little baby
so
belt.
funny.
And he just had it right
Yeah,
over
yeah,
his
the whole
shoulder the
thing.
whole time.
Yeah.
Just,
I did that
just,
on purpose.
just
Gotta
caressing
start-
the
yeah,
baby
we
belt.
intentionally made that like a third
Yeah.
size. But it highlights the top producers of the week, and D. Will comes out and does this whole. I mean, he's got his microphone, he's got his sunglasses, he's got a full outfit, and he literally turns into like.
And you don't break character once.
Dude,
No,
he goes all. You guys need to like see it in person because it's absolutely amazing. But that's the kind of stuff, right? Like he's putting his flavor on everything, and so I think that influences a lot of people. Like when we go to conferences and you interact with other leaders, like people see you as that guy that's like fun, that's been here for a really long time, and I think you have a bigger impact than you probably realize just in that way. So, but yeah, I think as far as like. Talk about just the life of the party. That's D. Will. Absolutely.
Oh, that's D. Will. He's D. Will's a big sports fan. Both big sports fans. And you talk about like
Go
the
Cougs.
glue guy. Let's go Cougs.
Hey.
Let's go, baby.
He does the
That's-
cougar
yeah,
noise.
he
That's
does the
my
cougar.
favorite. That's new for me tonight.
You talk like when you watch sports. There's like the X factor, the glue guy. You know, like that is D. Will. Like when I think about what's cool about our business now is like we become a machine where like one person, I think ultimately like if they were to decide to move on or something like that, the machine's going to keep moving. I think with D. Will though, you pluck D. Will out of our business, out of the contenders,
There's a void.
that can't be replaced. He's the glue guy. And I think that actually brings like a lot of comfort to people, like a lot of like security and a lot of assurance, knowing that like you have someone like him there just to ensure that, hey, it's all going to be good. Kind of like the default positive guy. So I just think that like that glue guy piece to this is what makes. And there's so many people in the contenders that have their specific role. But to me, this whole thing, it doesn't work without the guy in the middle, right? And that's D. Will. We all know it. So
100%. And I'd say the other thing too is, and he doesn't give himself that much credit, but D. Will has 700, 750,
Coming out,
780.
yeah, probably.
lot of
Almost
installs,
sniffing
man.
800 installs. you don't get to that level unless you're really
This
good
guy.
at sales.
This guy.
And hey,
The hair guy.
This might be
With
premature.
the wooden whistle. He's wearing a wooden whistle. That guy has
It's a
700
redneck
plus.
rape whistle.
How did I miss the whistle? This is the first time I've seen the whistle.
It's an antler bone.
Hey, but like you don't get to that level unless you're elite at this.
True.
And also like to see you 11 years into your career and this quarter is going to be your first quarter hitting franchise,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're committing right now.
Let's do it.
It's going to happen.
Gonna need your help.
First quarter ever. But I think that's amazing because like you embody that. The glue is someone that can do the job at a high level, but you've been also ultra consistent. And I think for people that want to be leaders, like looking at you, you're a great example of someone who's not just hung on, but you've actually done the job at a high level consistently for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I was going to add that in in a role where your job is to like enhance the culture and to create an experience for people. It's very easy to get sideways and become unproductive. To work on things that are cool, but do they move the needle?
Yeah.
Right. And I think you've done a really good job. Like this is all like the contender leaders, but like you guys all throw down. Like everybody, like 700 something installs. How many do you have now?
That's 1,000.
A couple more than D-Will, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gallivan's up in the 900s.
Him
Like
and Jeff are coming on 1,000.
Yeah.
Probably in the next 3-4 months.
Yeah. So the fact is, it's not like it's yes, you do the contender belt thing and it's a great experience, but at the same time, you're doing volume, you're recruiting people in, you're improving your programs. All that other stuff is exclamation mark. It's the other 20%. So the fact is, the unsexy stuff, like the musts and the routine calls and the personal volume and the getting your personal wins, that happens. Mm-hmm. So once you've locked that down, like, it's that James Clear quote, right? To the beginner, execution; to the intermediate, strategy; and to the expert, mindset. And now you've moved on to this, like you guys are all experts, and your mindset, you started talking about it earlier. We didn't talk about it really, but like there's so many mindset things that made it work. Like you kind of like glossed over, like, yeah, I just held on and it worked. But you also thought, no, if other people can do it, I'm sure I can do it. And I'm going to stick with this and I have no other choice. And I've moved my wife here and we're committed. And I'm just going to stay grateful. And as long as the industry is producing, that's how winners think, right? And there's other people that have maybe been of greater talent that haven't thought that way and they don't have the result that you have, right? I mean, you're among the most like prolific sales leaders in this industry. There's not many people that have that level of, the contenders have produced 200 to 500 installs a quarter consistently for 10, 11, 12 years, right? You're at, almost you're almost to 1,000 installs, 700 and something personal installs, right? You're an equity holder in this company. Like you're like one of the most prolific sales leaders ever, but I have noticed that it starts with mindset and then a lot of the stuff kind of flows from that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Do you agree with me?
Absolutely.
Take it. All right.
No, I do. No, but yeah, it's just, what is it? Was it Paul Dixon said there's no self-made man. Yeah. I've been led by Sterling and Jeff this whole time. Like I look up to these guys like true mentors, true brothers, but Stir's on a whole nother level. I know this is all about me, but but it's like I just follow kind of what he's doing, put my flavor on it, and that's always led me to like success. Like I've been blessed with great like surrounding teammates, yeah. Right? There's no just like Jordan. Jordan was great, but he still had to have a ecosystem of pivotal team players doing their role, and so that's where Husto comes in. That's where I come in. That's where Stir comes in. That's where Galvin comes in. So I agree with that. But I feel like we've just been blessed with a great I don't know, synergy. That's a cheesy word, but very few leaders can stay that long. But like we like each other. Like we would hang out. We would be bros in high school. You know what I mean? That's very rare in a high functioning business. Like it's not always the case.
It's an abundant mindset though, because where I've seen other people that have like the same bones but don't think of it that way. Like you've said on this, not just to like maybe raise awareness because I'm not in your head. Although I'd like to visit. I'd like to go in there, peek out your eye holes for a little bit and be like, geez. This world is awesome. Wow. Oh, I would love that. Sign me up for that in the next life. I want to be first for the ride inside your brain. But even like you notice like, hey, I had good parents. Hey, I had a great upbringing. you could look at that and say, dude, I had 9 siblings. It was rough. I got beat up. I was overlooked. I had to if I wasn't to the table first, I didn't eat.
Oh yeah.
There's all that kind of stuff, right? It could be like, well, dude, this partner, and I know this partnership has had its ups and downs because you've been together in a high stakes environment for a really long time. But the way you choose to look at it is, there's abundance. I'm lucky to be here. I'm blessed. I want to contribute, and that's why it works. So, I mean, just trying to give you some credit for that because it's a skill that you think that way.
I appreciate that, but I mean, that's what winners do. I mean, I may not win everything, but I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna hang on.
Yeah.
We're gonna. You're gonna have to knock me out. Like, I'm gonna have to lose legs. I'm gonna have to be dead. Like, I'm not stopping. And take contenders away. That's just a Wilson. That's how we are. We're scrappy through and through. It doesn't matter. You better pack a lunch. It's 24/7, 7 days a week. Let's go.
Dude, that's what it is for me. Like, when I think about D-Will, we were in San Diego and the question came up, like, what's the difference between leaders that stay at a certain level long term, like they continue to maintain production, stay in it, and those that maybe start to taper off or lack that consistency? And immediately the thing that came to my mind was, those leaders are the ones that care the most. Like, they care at a higher level, and that ultimately translates to that like high level of consistent success. That's what it is. Like, you just care on a deeper level, I think, than most leaders. And that's why you stand back. It's like, we don't immediately think about like, oh man, D-Will just throws down. But it's like, dude, D-Will throws down. Yeah. You have almost 1,000. You're going to be 1,000 pretty soon. You just care. And I think that's the difference between leaders that continue to impact and stay consistent and those that don't. Yeah. It's just level of care.
And Star always tells me, look, it's like, you should, if you care about your numbers, your weekly wins, then we can work from that. Yeah. It's when you stop caring. When you stop,
and the other stuff doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You ever listen to Dax Shepard's podcast?
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, like, he grew up in Detroit, and he's big. He's a big guy. He's like 6'3" and like really strong and stuff. And he was talking about how like a lot of like the way he lives his life is because of this, like, he wants to be self-sufficient because he didn't have a lot of safety in his life growing up. And back to your pack a lunch, and I'm going to be a lot to handle. He's like, listen, you don't have to be able to take on any attacker. You just have to be a worse choice than somebody else. So he's like, hey, if you're surveying a street, you better pick someone else because you're going to have your hands full with me. Like, just move. And like, as you were talking about it, it's kind of funny because it's like, yes, it's not a prerequisite to come in and be impactful that you're the most, like, in fact, people don't want a silver-tongued, like, perfect, like, well-spoken sales leader. They want someone that's authentic and real because they can work with that. And so I think you have values, you've communicated those values, you've put a really cool flair on it that means something for people, and then you continue to impress people and like not disappoint them. Because when a rep looks to their leader, they want to root for them. Like, if you've been in recruiting meetings and they say like, hey, this is Daron, how many installs do you have? Tell them. Like, they want to root for you like you want to root for like your favorite sports team. And so as long as you keep giving them like ammo and keep like not disappointing them, right? Keep impressing them, then it perpetuates. Like, it just keeps going.
Yeah, especially about this franchise. I feel like I'm the Nolan Ryan of soccer. Was it 7,000 strikeouts, 0 Cy Young awards? Nolan Ryan does not have one.
I actually watched the documentary, and it's incredible.
So it's like me. It's like I was hitting. It's 5-6 years of 21 installs a quarter for 5-6 years, but franchise wasn't a thing. And so when the merger happened, I've just never achieved it. But stars align, baby being born, things are going right. You know what I mean? It's like you go to Vegas and you just keep hitting the color, man. And
this is your quarter.
Nice, the quarter. It's the quarter. But it's cool because I've had people on my team, like my direct recruits and stuff, are like just they're buying into D-Will hitting franchise. And so I don't know. I think it's super sweet, super cool. It just gives you evidence of like the culture that we do have. It's more of a family. It's more of like, we got your back, dude. Your success is my success. Mm-hmm. And that's where you can, build from that. There's no like dog eat dog here. It's that abundance mentality. And it's just one love, man. Just treat people how you want to be treated and just love. At the end of the day, have fun. Life's over before we know it. Money doesn't mean everything in life. It's memories. Make memories. Don't buy things. Make memories. We're here. We're here and it's over like that. So it's just love. That's why I've never left. Oh, grass is always greener. My grass is green wherever you water it. I'm not going to find another Sterling Hills elsewhere. I'm not going to find a Galley Monster elsewhere.
No, you're definitely
I'm not. No, never. And I appreciate that. I appreciate more the experiences. You guys, I love you guys. I've known you guys for a long time, and you guys have just, look, you guys are like my entrepreneurial big brothers. Like, you guys have no clue. I don't have the words to express the impact and what you guys provide of being good dads and just solid dudes. And that's hard. That's hard. Other companies don't have that.
Yeah.
And so, you might get emotional like a little 12-year-old. But
I feel
but
that,
it's
dude,
real.
'cause,
That's what Sunrun, that's what the street is. It's not, pay scale, all that. You guys don't know what you're talking about. It's camaraderie. It's you would die for these dudes. Like, as passionate or as crazy as that sounds, like Taylor, like all these, I don't know, that's hard to replicate. And I will never leave. This is the last place because of the leadership. Yeah. I don't care about pay scales. I don't care about money. You make it, you spend it. It's like friendships. It's going to BYU games. It's like wearing Utah crap that he makes me because I lose a bet. It's
Otherwise, I would be found dead in that.
That's what the street is.
Yeah.
For those that aren't part of the street, you should be, because if you're working elsewhere, you're not smart. And I mean that in the kindest way, because you have to hang your hat on the mothership. We are the mothership. We're not perfect. But this is the best place for your career development, and it's the best place for your customers. If you're customer-oriented, you're going to set them up for success. Look at the stats. Look at all the companies going bankrupt. It's a volatile industry. It's political. It ebbs and flows. But you have to take care of your customers. You can't redline chase, in my opinion. You can't, because that's egocentric. You're looking at you. Take care of them, the people that are putting food on your table. And so I don't know. I get fiery. I can't stand competition. Like, they don't get it, and everyone talks. Everyone talks, about the street because they want to replicate it. They can't. They want the leaders, but they will never get them. I don't know. I'm ride or die, dude.
Yeah.
Look at his hair. Look at his hair.
You think I'm screwing around with
dude.
this hair
You
right
think you
now?
can mess around with this over here?
So you better pack a lunch.
Yeah, come on, man. Better pack two.
We need that on some gear.
Again, though, embodiment of the principles. It
Yes.
works because you're the embodiment of that, and that's what it takes. Like, to a leader, it is personal. Like, it is, Dave was talking about, you spend time thinking about this, and then you create here, and then it's personal, and then it's all connected. And so I completely agree. Like, one, you do have a very finite, short amount of time, like, in this current working environment, in this life, in this situation. And so you have your currency, right? Your compensation is, you get paid, right? But then there's your long-term value, and then there's your relationships, and then there's your experience, which all like culminate in a meaningful life, right? And I think you see that really well, and it's awesome to sit at your table because you've had wild stuff around you. You've had massive like exodi, in your teams. Like, it's easy to talk about it now and say, like, because we were in your team today, and there's 80 people that are all stoked, and I love that. Side note, at the end of the meeting, it's like that you did like your whole like dress up and like yelling in the new guy's face, and then everyone's like, who is this their first time? And there's 5 people that are like, what is this place?
I promise we're not weird.
There's tacos outside. There's this going on. Jeff's crying. Some other guy's crying. There's like, I think I want to be here, but what? Like, do I have to cry? Like, but
It's just too much.
Yeah, it's just, thank you. This has been a lot. But it wasn't always like that. And you haven't always had a leadership group that was cohesive and tight-knit. So maybe talk about what it took to get there. I don't necessarily need the specific examples of who left and when, but you guys have had a lot of people. Like, it took a while to figure this out, right? You've had a lot of people leave. You've had people that were corrosive to your leadership culture and to your culture there. So maybe what are some of the lessons that you've learned, seen firsthand, that you've now corrected to help you guys have the leadership dynamic that you have now?
This is the goat over here in Bakersfield, man.
This is your podcast.
I know it is. It's all
Sterling
about you
had his
guys.
time.
I feel like I'm dying soon. It's like a little eulogy. A eulogy. Eulogy podcast. I don't know. What was the question?
I mean, like, so think about this. Like, when we had, like, those times when we had leaders kind of betray us in a way and leave and take people with them.
Lift.
I mean, for me, I'll just say, like, I think that really strengthened the rest of us
Absolutely.
that stayed together.
For sure.
Like, that was a big moment for us. Because that's when you kind of find out, like, are you on my team, or are you, are you kind of looking to leave?
You start
and so I
questioning.
think over time, like, man, that was hard. Like, that was really difficult. That was a difficult time. But we definitely, the team that stayed together, like, I don't doubt that we forged a stronger relationship because we went through that. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I think it just builds the bond stronger. It's like a family that goes through like a trial or tribulation. It only makes them stronger. But when you're in it, you feel like it's hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
I still remember when the first mass exodus. Or I was in Texas. He's like, dude, I just love you. I'm so glad you're still here. But so and so's taking everybody. I'm like, oh my god, running around the traffic like, what the, I'm like, I hate him. But
Who do I need to headlock?
For me though, the whole point of like, and I don't care. My dad worked for 3 sales companies in his 45-year career. Hopefully, people didn't shun him for leaving and going and exploring whatever's best for his family. But there's a certain way you do it. And for me, it's always been the way that people leave is just more irritating for me. Instead of just, hey, just let's talk about it. I thought we were bros. Thought we had like a connection. Instead of like, who are you? How do I know who you are? Where you sat at my table. And, it's like Judas. The silver, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just love Sterling. I love Jeff. We've been through some stuff, and I'll never if they leave, I'm out. That's how it goes. I mean, it's fair. But we've had a good run, but it's been a lot of work, a lot of trial and error, a lot of throwing and see what sticks and what doesn't. It takes a lot of. For me, with reps coming and going, it's more of just like the relationships. I get sad with just like the relationships. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, dude, thought we were good, and then it's like, well,
Guess you're moving on.
Yeah, I hope bad things happen to you and your family. I don't mean that, but that's like those thoughts I have. I'm like, ill will. But no, that's more the competitive in me. They don't want to see guys. I have 4 big brothers, and all. You ever seen like the big brother dunking on the kid, the little brother? That was my whole upbringing. Just brothers.
And you got red hair. I know what that's
dude,
like.
I'm the only
Middle
redhead.
child
I'm the
with
only
red
ginger.
hair.
I was always the pudgy one.
dude.
I was pudgy, and it was just bullying. And shout out to Jason and Brandon. I love you guys. But so I think a lot of it is just my upbringing. The way I am is just, like you said, tippy toes. We had to be on our tippy toes. We had to just be exuberant, flamboyant to get noticed. If not, you get lost in the weeds in the home. And so I don't know. That's where a little bit of the D-Will personality is. It's just the ecosystem of how I was raised. Yeah. But when it comes to leadership and business, you still got to kick ass. You still got to evolve. You still got to read books. You still have to try to get better at your craft. This is a craft. You have to take it personal. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people just get complacent in their career and they get stagnant. And they start to look elsewhere, but you have to always reinvent yourself. I think that's where you got to go into the mind and figure out really what's the meaning of life and what this is all about. But
you got to stay engaged, right?
Yeah,
I always say creativity is the result of a curious and engaged mind. So if you can look at a problem and think that's the one thing, Dave mentioned this, but you guys think about stuff a lot. And I'll add something that I don't know that a lot of people know. And Dave, you probably back me up on this, but you guys are one of the most, aside from being one of the most established teams, we have a handful of them, but you really rank among the best sales teams that I've ever heard of. But you're still teachable. So we'll come out with a technique or something like that. And it goes up on the wall and you guys work through it and you actually implement stuff because you look at your problems and think, okay, you're constantly thinking about work, the team, your mission, how to make it better. And then you ask yourself questions without pride and certainty. You've tried a lot of stuff. Not all of it has worked, but you've tried a lot of stuff. So you found the stuff that has. And so it's actually kind of rare to find a team with this much tenure, with this much continued success that's as teachable and as just willing to give the benefit of the doubt. It's the curiosity over certainty type thing. It's not like, yeah, we tried that, it didn't work. It's like, hold on, explain this to me. Guys, let's go through this exercise. You know, everything, every template we've made, you guys have done. Every training that has like been given somewhere, you've then taken back and implemented. And so I also think for people listening that are wondering how you build a really established, great team, we've talked about your values, we've talked about making your mark, but also like the fact that you remain teachable is really, I think, unique and rare. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we visited a team a couple weeks ago where they've been able to maintain consistent, solid volume, but probably more in maintenance mode as opposed to kind of growth mode. And I think one of the main reasons is because what you just described is not that culture. The culture on that team is more of kind of, well, we kind of do things differently here, or we have like market specific challenges that other markets don't have. Therefore, we're going to do it this way. And I mean, that's why it's kind of maintenance mode. So I think there's a big difference between maintaining volume and actually like growing and pursuing volume and development along the way, which is what you guys have done. Like that's why with Bakersfield, we talk about spinning off leaders. Like that's the ultimate goal. Like we saw four promotions just today in Bakersfield. And it's like, that's special. There are only a few teams that I can think of immediately that have had that kind of an impact of like growing leaders, spinning them off. It was so cool to see Renee today.
Yep.
At his new business,
Randy,
right?
Everable.
Who left to help stabilize another market outside of Bakersfield. He very well could have stayed here, right? But it's about having the biggest impact you can. So I think you guys thinking for the business and big picture and kind of having that LQ, it's growth mode, not maintenance mode, right? So I 100% believe that.
Well, just to add to what you're saying, to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower. I'm sure that's a generic quote, but I've heard it somewhere in a book. But yeah, it's like once, I don't know, I feel like there's people been in my position that I've seen, like you said, they have that mindset of like, oh yeah, we do things a little bit different. And I think they look at their leadership, like you guys, or their upper management, like, oh, well, he only got there because of this or that. I think that's where the ego creeps into a lot of leaders that are stagnant, in my personal opinion, is because of they're looking outward instead of inward. And that's, to me, that's where stagnation happens, is when you're looking out at others, and then you just stop growing and developing. But if you look inward and just focus on you, it's like whole John Wooden, shout out to UCLA Bruins, Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor, dude. But that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's real name, Dave. Just so you know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
stay with me here, buddy.
Whatever his laws, but everyone's. But he never scouted other teams. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah.
He never scouted other teams, and that's like crazy in this modern day. He goes, why are we worrying about what the other people are doing? We need to be worrying about what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that a lot of that goes hand in hand with like your development as a leader. It's like you need to know what's going on externally, but internally, that's where it all happens. That's where growth happens. That's where change happens. That's where the perception is reality. So yeah, I just think that if you're stagnant and you're a leader, you look inward, quit looking outward, quit wanting a Ty's position or wondering how he got there, or Dave doesn't, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people do that, and that's just not good for your growth. What can you change? Yeah. You can only change you. You can't change your environment.
I think early on, Chance actually taught us that, like back in the day, he talked about how it doesn't matter like where the idea comes from, the best idea wins.
Always.
Regardless of where it comes from, right? And so we kind of learned this earlier on, I feel like, about being curious. Like, maybe I don't have the best idea. What's your idea? Yeah. And being a partner with D. Will, like, it's fun because we've kind of both been on that, right? Like, sometimes it's your idea, sometimes it's mine. But like that, it's normally yours. That's fair. It's probably true. But it doesn't matter, right? It's like best idea wins, drop the ego at the door. I actually think that first came from Chance. Yeah, back in the day.
Shout out to Chance.
He's definitely the one.
3-1-G.
Yeah, the best.
3-1-G. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. I completely agree with that, and I think these lessons, it's good to stop every now and then and think like, oh, how did that happen? Like, how are we able to talk about these things, shed the ego, give the best idea. But that's ultimately what it means to be teachable, I think, and to look inward. And, I think we did this, we talk about it a lot, but we did this SEAL fit, like, it's basically like Hell Day. The SEALs do like a Hell Week. But for the civilians, if you pay a lot of money, you can go through Hell Day. And so we took all the leaders through, and they basically they try to kill you. In fact, we've done it 3 times, and on the second time, a guy died the week before. It's literally like, hey, normal civilians probably shouldn't go from 0 to 100 like this. Yeah. But there was this time when one of the things that's interesting about it is they would do all of these things to kind of screw with your head. Like one of the things was you had to take these bags, these like backpacks, and they would like cut the straps and they'd take the padding out, and then they would make the straps like all uneven. So they're just like terrible, and there's like knots in them, and they're like those like motorcycle tie down straps, like they're just bad. But then you have to fill it with sand, and immediately like me and there's this other guy with us who was like, he was like probably weighed 230, he was really fit, and then there was me, who like. Try my best, but you try to keep up. I'm 60 pounds lighter than this guy, and our bags weigh the same. And so I throw this thing on my back, and so immediately in my head, what's there is like, if you look at this thing like pound for pound, I'm carrying
it's not fair.
25% more than him. And then you have to carry this, like they call it a weapon, but it's a PVC pipe full of sand. You can't let it touch the ground. And so like we're out walking, and we're walking for miles and miles and miles and miles, and you cannot let it touch the ground. And if it touches the ground, the whole team gets punished. You have to get in the ocean. You have to do push-ups and all. It's like really painful. And so there was this time where I was walking, and the straps were like literally cutting into my shoulders, and I wasn't going to be able to carry this weapon anymore. It was like it was going to fall. And when I started to struggle, Lance Cummings, we've had him on this podcast. He's like a retired Navy SEAL. But he said to me, he's like, are you struggling? And it's like, you kind of don't, like, do you want honesty? Do you want me to be a man? Do you want, like, and I was just like, I'm all right. And he kind of came up to me and then, like, extended me, like, kind of some mercy and gave me a tip. And he's like, hey, look for someone struggling more than you and help them. And so there was this other person who was struggling, and he was going to drop his thing. And I went over and I picked his up. And all of a sudden, I had all this, like, strength. I could carry it, right? And you learn this thing where, looking inward versus looking outward. Like when you look inward, all I can think of is this bag is going to cut my arms off, and this is going to fall, and I'm going to like screw this up for the group. I was really looking inward. But then the second I was like, oh man, this guy's struggling here. Let me help you. Like you need this more than me. And then all of a sudden I found that extra like 20% that was hiding in there. Long-winded story, but I really like what you said, because I think it's really articulate and really like profound that you could say growth happens, or stagnation happens when you look inward. That's really what happens, because then production stops, right? So your production stops, but your mind doesn't stop, and so your mind starts to make these crazy things like he doesn't get me, and he takes all the money, and all of those different, the company doesn't care about me, and they don't care about my customers, and all that stuff happens.
His percentage is more, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but literally if you look outward and be like, okay, how can I add the most value? What we find in promoting people is those that come and say, how do I get to the next step? How do I get to the next step? How do I get to the next step? It's always the same conversation. Make yourself the clear choice. Here are just be so good they can't ignore you. Go out and literally like make the job. But when people drop it, and you're a great example of this, and they just say, hey, I'm going to add as much value as humanly possible, they get promoted before they expect it. It always happens. And I've had people that come to me and say, hey, how do I get promoted? We have to talk. And then they say, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this anymore. I'm just going to do my job. And then immediately I'm like, hey, we need your help, right? Like it's that mindset that actually like ignites growth.
I thought you were going to say like, what was his name?
Lance?
Yeah, Lance. I thought you were going to be like, you don't know me, son.
No, Lance knows me. Lance knows the depths of my
Shout out to
soul.
David Goggins.
Oh man.
Your inner Goggins.
But do you remember you were at the event when Jocko came?
Yeah.
And Lance Cummings was the one that hosted that.
Yep.
And do you remember when we were doing the kickball with those medicine balls? Do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
How about bear crawl?
Oh,
Bear
God.
crawling. Dude,
Hey.
it was like, what, 2 hours? But I couldn't walk for 2 weeks.
It was so brutal.
I
We
needed
have
help.
a great picture of D. Will and Taylor and me, and it looks like we're about to die from that day.
It's
We're
like
all
Taylor's
that,
looking
and
stoic
we
and
just-
fit, stirs even more poison. Me in the back with a headband, just like,
Oh, we were
like dying.
Is this for my job?
Dude, I was like, yeah, I got this.
But do you remember back on the D Will throws down thing? I remember like the game was we're in like a line of like 5, right? And everybody throws the medicine ball, goes to the back of the line, throws the medicine ball, goes to the back of the line, and you go around like the kickball bases. And it was terrible. And you're like literally throwing a heavy medicine ball like this. It's all bad for your body if you're not like used to it. And I remember all of these teams were going through, and you're grunting in pain, so everybody knows that you're suffering, right? Like you got to make it known.
every throw.
You know? Yeah. And I remember looking over. I actually have a picture of it, and Lance was doing it by himself.
Oh, gosh.
So he's 50 something, right? And so here's this whole sales force that's like, thinks highly of themselves and works out every day and tries to be developmental, and they're grunting and throwing. And then you've got a guy that's literally twice our age that is carrying a ball that's heavier than us by ourselves, just throwing it and getting work done. It's like such a strong mental image, So do that, okay?
Seals.
Seal
Seals,
stuff,
man.
Seal stuff, dude.
Navy SEALs, man.
What are you most excited about for the future?
Fatherhood.
Yeah, man. Talk about that.
It's a privilege. It's an honor. I don't know. And just my appreciation for my wife has grown. Womanhood. Shout out to all the women.
Yeah.
It's wild. I don't know. It's been a long road. 10 years of infertility. A lot of people have gone through it. I think you guys went through a stint of it, and it's kind of, you feel very isolated, especially in our culture and in our faith. And then it's just hard because you kind of go inward. You quit hanging out with people because it hurts too much. But then science and opportunity and this job and being able to have the financial wherewithal to be able to do what we did. A lot of people aren't in that position. But yeah, it's just a lot of prayers. This little Poppy, she's a miracle, man. They said she should have self-aborted 9 weeks, and she's here. She's almost a week, and love of our life, and we would do a lot for that little thing. Actually, there's not one thing I would not do for that little thing, and I've only known her a week. So I can only imagine you guys all have a lot of children, but this is our first one. Never thought it would happen. And I look at her, I'm like, this is ours. This is ours. This is still ours. Like Leslie shouldn't want to fall asleep because she feels like she's going to wake up. She's not there. It's I don't know.
You just wanted it for so long.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's this weird, I don't know how, because when you're programming yourself, it's never going to be us. It's not our path. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Oh, you're dilated. Oh my gosh, it's here. Oh my God, he's doing that to her. What now? And it's like, we're here. Now we're going to the doctor. Now we got little strollers. Now we got car seats. Now, I don't know. It's wild. But yeah, that's what life's all about. Struggle. You got to struggle. Life's all about struggling because that's the only way to grow. It's the only way to be grateful for the things that you do have and for the good times. But we wouldn't change it. I think we were blessed to go through that experience, to be able to bless others and to tell our stories, to give people hope and just encouragement to, hey, you got to try everything. That's what we said, is like, look, we got to try it all. And that was the one and done, and it worked. So
yeah, I hope you know the amount of like rejoicing and like tears that went on when we found out you were pregnant. It was
awesome.
A celebration that like went into the night and into the morning. And then when we saw the pictures last week, like even my wife, like she just
it's wild. Everybody's been so kind, man. It's just, it takes a village, and we've been truly blessed with unbelievable people that have been supporting and praying and positive vibes. It really is. We haven't done this alone, and that's cool. It's human beings are more kind and loving than I would say a lot that's going through the telly and the screens.
Yeah.
I think there's more people that want your back and want you to succeed than not.
We've all been like so excited for D Will to be a dad. We've always known like him and Leslie, the way that they take care of their dogs. Like we say this, their dogs
friends.
have the best dog
friends.
life of any dog, right? Like they go above and beyond for these dogs. And like we all knew, like we were super excited for him to be a dad, and like him and Leslie both. It's pretty crazy that it's like it's real.
It's
like,
here.
You're a dad now. It's
Like,
still
literally
is
I can
like
walk 25 feet and she's
1
in there.
week, right?
Yeah, tomorrow will be a week. What's today, Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monday.
She was born Tuesday, the 5th, 5:12 p.m.
Do you remember when we ran into you at Disneyland?
Yeah,
years
your
ago?
mom's like, oh, he has a sexy voice. I'm like, easy, Sister Madsen. Go
I
Cougs.
had a different experience than
You're
you
like,
had.
my mom never said that.
At Disneyland. I just remember because for us, it was 5 years, and then it was 5 years again, right?
Oh, wow.
And so I remember, so we went through it two kind of 5 year segments, but it's like, I don't know. And then I remember running into you guys, and you were just in the thick of it, and we were kind of just coming out of it, and then starting new, and I don't know, maybe just touch on like, how are you able to kind of stay optimistic through that? Because I think like people have these real life challenges, right? And you still like have a job to do and people that rely on you, and you got to keep moving forward. But at the same time, like handling things that are deeply hard and doing that in such a way where like you can move forward, but you can still like be optimistic, and it doesn't have to change you and your goals and things like that. I think everyone's got something, man. And for some people it's really heavy. For others, maybe it's just, you know, a short-term thing, but there's something there.
Yeah.
So I always just admired the fact that like you're always D-Will, and like it was something you guys wanted, and you're going to keep pursuing and being hopeful and prayerful and stuff. But like, how were you able to do that and still maintain focus of like your priorities?
I would say just, you know, upbringing, I would say our faith, being hopeful, but also my wife taught me early on when we were dating, Daron, know your audience. So I feel like even with your own life business, like what we're all going through, know your audience on who you want to share that with. Like there's a time and a place. You have to compartmentalize your struggles to where it doesn't affect your performance or your day-to-day. And then that's what home's for. That's what you and your wife, those deep conversations. But I feel like my wife is a lot more personal than I am. So she's taught me a lot of life lessons on, hey, you don't need to divulge all of it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like those are a little bit of tip and tricks on whatever you're going through. You know, lean on people, but yet don't like overpower the mood in a sense. Like you talked about earlier in the meeting, like it's like the person that takes the negative, you know, brings the negative air in the room, and you just can't, you know what I mean? You don't have to. Even if you're going through the refiner's fire, you can still, hey, I'm in the moment. This is a sales meeting. I got to put on the glasses. I got to be the character. Yeah. I can't be like, well, it was me, Eeyore, like I was talking about. You just, lights, camera, action, boom. I feel like a lot of light, it's just the doors, not lights, camera, action. So I don't know. I feel like it's just accumulation of a lot of things. A lot of people have taught me and given me just that. My mom's probably the most optimistic person on the planet. But at the end of the day, if our story is to not have a child, then that's our story, and we're going to love it, and we're going to kick that story's ass. But if we're blessed,
you're going to have the most pampered dogs ever.
Yeah. I mean, that's health insurance. They have car seats. I mean literally.
Is that true?
Yes, they do. Healthy paws. Shout out. We love them.
Man, I think honestly, I could kill it as an insurance salesperson for dogs.
Yeah, I'm way down. But I would say our dogs have probably kept our marriage through infertility. But shout out to all the dogs. It's the unconditional love. And so we're a huge advocate for pets. I feel like that's, if you feel like you're selfish, get a pet. They teach you so much more than a cat would. Nothing against cats.
But it's not a pet?
Shut up.
No, cat's not a pet.
Cats have been contributed to eradicating, I think, like 2 billion birds. Those things are autonomous. They're just, it's a little mini cougar. And so, you could, Google it. But it's crazy. These cats are nuts. But no, wow, squirrel. I went from like infertility talking about cat stats. But
anti-cat stats.
No, but like hearing your story, a lot of the podcasts. So what was the gentleman, Mark?
I was just thinking about how, was it 4 years ago you interviewed Mark Smith?
Yeah.
And I remember sending that podcast to D-Will because I knew D-Will was going through infertility, thinking like, hey, it was a phenomenal podcast. Just amazing. But like, how cool is it that now like you're here, we're doing
Yeah.
this podcast, and like someone out there might be experiencing that.
Yeah, it's
And they
crazy.
might send it to a friend. Like, how cool is that? Like,
Oh, it's
because
neat.
you've been through it, and
Yeah.
like, frankly, unless you have, it's like hard to know exactly what that's
Yeah.
what that's like.
It's just a weird dynamic. It's a weird experience, but at the end of the day, it's, you got to go to sleep, you got to wake up, and it's, you have to think of it daily to deal with, I think, struggles in life. It's a daily thing because anxiety kicks in if you start thinking about the big picture, like micro goals, micro daily, like you can do this, just take it a day at a time, like all those things we learn as kids. But that's, I think there's more power than that than I think a lot of people realize when it comes through struggle, infertility, whatever you're dealing with, health complications. It's just take it day by day. All you can control is a few things, so just control those, and just celebrate you controlling what you can control. I think you need to celebrate. You need to have some positivity when you're going through it. You feel like the world's caving in. You feel like there's no hope. There's no reason to celebrate. But that's a mindset. We control the narrative of what we tell ourselves, how we look at each trial and tribulation, and it's easier said than done. It's very cliche. Oh, you can, but it's a real thing. But it takes practice. It takes self-awareness. It takes humility. It takes asking for advice. It's okay to go talk to a therapist. It's okay to talk to your pastors. It's okay to reach up and reach out, because human beings, like you said, we're all going through something. Nobody's something is greater than the other something. But we can lean on loved ones. We can lean on family. You can lean on close friends for hope. Never lose hope. Can't.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's, in some ways, it's kind of like, it's a blessing to have a performance-based job, because it forces, and there's I've been in situations multiple times where it's like, oh man, I have to like turn this off and go produce. But I've actually it's nice to have a job where you can experience positive chemical release through just the right action. Mm-hmm. So, you go out and you try to create something, and maybe it's just you create a conversation and that's as much as you can create that day. Sometimes you create a sale, sometimes you create a friendship, sometimes you whatever. But it kind of balances out other things and can spill hope over. One of the worst things you can do is stop, right? And sometimes maybe your effort can't be as much, but the worst thing you do is stop, because if you can, a lot of times you go out and you be productive and you come back to an issue and you've got a different chemical cocktail coursing through you, and it aligns you to better tackle the issues that you have. In some ways I like to think about this, where what if you had a job where performance didn't matter and you could kind of exist for a handful of days and no one would even notice if you were dialed in or not. You might stay in that struggle a little bit longer, right? And so it's hard, because sometimes we wrestle with it and think, oh, now I gotta go knock doors. My gosh, it's so hard. But it's it's almost like a workout. It's kind of sometimes the thing you need to shock you straight. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people, it's not for everybody, but I've seen a lot of people that have gone through incredibly difficult things and kind of leaned on a performance, something that they know they can control, something that they know that they can contribute, something that will make them feel good, to actually help balance out some of those difficult times. I mean, I know it probably doesn't feel like that in the moment, but your results show that you've done that, which is impressive.
Yeah. It's kudos to my wife. She's a champ.
Let's get her out here. No,
Poppy, where are you?
Yeah. It's the middle of the night, 6 days after having a child.
Hey, meatloaf! Put the baby down. No, but no, she's sacrificed a lot more than me. I feel like I put her through a lot of things. She's been through a lot of things, but she's my ultimate, rock. As cheesy as that is, she's kept me out of the ditch, figuratively and literally. But yeah, marry a good, strong woman. Those that aren't, and try to have kids when you can have them, because it's a different mindset. It's what us human beings are meant to put. But if you're not blessed to it, you could still serve, you can still love, you can still help, you can still find meaning, you can still
have dogs.
You can still get a dog.
How about a cat?
Not
Cats.
Serve a different purpose, right?
They're just smarter than me. I can't have a wild animal that's smarter than me just chilling in my house. I got to be smarter than you. Dogs are smart, but they ain't that smart.
I love it, dude. Well, hey, man, thanks for Thanks for having us in your
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
Thanks for the friendship. Thanks for
Absolutely.
the amazing like contribution to the business and to our lives. Dude, like honestly, like I've been really excited to have this conversation because I really think that there's a lot of people that your story will relate to, and I'm such a fan of people doing things their way, and I think you're the embodiment of that. So
Rock and roll.
rock and roll, man. Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
This has been another episode of Electric People.
Go Cougs.
Rock on.
Yep, he really knows.
Cougs. If you're listening to this and interested in joining our teams, DM us on Instagram at Run the League.
What are you waiting for? Run the league, shoot us a DM, and let's get going.
Ciao.